Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at a new Shaymin card. A very exciting, very important new Shaymin card that is going to see a huge amount of play. And when I tell you what it does, you're going to look at it and you're going to go, you know what, Wassy? You're right. That is going to see a huge amount of play. It's actually just a worse version of a card we're saying goodbye to in the rotation. Sorry. We're still going to be playing this. We're all going to play it. And it's one of those situations where we can pretend we're not going to play it, but then let's face it, we're definitely going to play it. Or we can just admit it at the outset and save ourselves all a lot of trouble. So what have we got here with this lovely new Shaymin? Well, we've got ourselves an 80 HP basic, which is actually terrible. We don't want 80 HP, we want 70 HP. We actually want 10 less HP here. And the reason we want 10 less HP, Buddy Poffin. Buddy Poffin goes and gets two of your Pokemon with 70 HP or less and pops them straight onto the bench. It is a phenomenal card for grabbing out your basics, but it means you want 70 HP. 70 is better than 60 because 70 is a higher number and that makes it harder to KO. But 70 is also better than 80 because of Buddy Poffin. We actually have found the sweet spot for evolving basics right now. It's 70 HP. More bulk than your 50s and 60s, but the ability to actually search them out with Buddy Poffin cannot be overstated. So, I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, I really wish it was for 70 HP, not 80. What does it actually do? Well, it's got a rather lovely ability whereby, as long as there's Pokemon in play, your bench Pokemon that don't have a rule box don't take damage from your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. It stops attacks hitting the bench and hitting your non-rule box Pokemon. Your rule box Pokemon are not exempted here. That's not actually as bad as it might sound. We'll get there in a minute. But generally speaking, this just protects your bench non-rule box Pokemon from damage. It's pretty awesome. It's also just worse Manaphy. Like, we need to accept this at the outset, right? We need to be honest with ourselves and just accept the fact this is worse Manaphy. Firstly, Manaphy had 70 HP, which, as I've explained in great detail, is just better. Also, Manaphy just protected your bench Pokemon. There was no ifs, buts, or maybes. There was no qualification here. Manaphy prevented damage done to your bench Pokemon. This prevents damage done to your bench Pokemon that do not have a rule box. But Pokemon with a rule box are absolutely still fair game, even when Shaymin's in play. Now, the good news is we're getting this shortly after Manaphy rotates. Because remember, Manaphy was back in Brilliant Stars. Manaphy is going with the rotation. In Japan, Manaphy is already gone. So as soon as Journey Together comes around, we are losing Manaphy. And we're going to have like a 3-month, one-set gap where we don't have this bench protector, where we don't have this bench barrier ability. Because this is not going to be in Journey Together. It's going to be in the set after Journey Together, just to be perfectly clear. There is no real chance this is in Journey Together, because it's in Hot Air Arena in Japan, and that is the set after Battle Partners, and we're essentially getting up to Battle Partners. So no, this is not going to be in Journey Together. So if you really want to be attacking the bench, you've got one set, 3 months, where you can basically go completely nuts trying to attack the bench. Now, as a rule in Query, this works the same way as Manaphy, so I've already seen some questions, let's be perfectly clear. It prevents damage only. And the biggest issue here is going to be damage counters. Let's look at our old friend Dragapult, one of the best decks in the format. Just came second to EUIC. Going to be amazing post-rotation. The residual effect of the attack Phantom Dive lets you put 6 damage counters, so it doesn't work. As in, Shaymin doesn't work to protect you from Dragapult. Dragapult trying to place the damage counters absolutely does work. It will go right through this, place damage counters. The good news is it won't place enough damage counters to get a one-hit KO on Shaymin. Yay! But no, damage counters work like they always have done. This protects you from damage. And this could be pretty big. Because right now, over in Japan, the deck with which Tor did well at the Fukuoka Champions League, which is really gaining a lot of steam right now. It plays a lot of different cards. But one of the cards it plays is Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. Wellspring Mask Ogerpon in the post-rotation format over in Japan right now is like full-on arrow up. It is turning into a very good card that is seeing a bunch of play. And of course, that's a card that does 100 to the active. And if you shuffle free energy from this Pokemon into your deck, it also does 120 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Although remember the rule, if you're using something like Sparkling Crystal, such that you've only got 2 energy on there, you can use this while only shuffling 2 energy back. If you're allowed to use the attack, you can use this even if you don't shuffle 3 cards back. That's kind of a pretty big deal, frankly. And this is something which is seeing a huge amount of play, and all of a sudden, yeah, the bench damage has gone away. The other big bench damager around at the moment, I say big bench damager, it's not a huge bench damager, but the other one we see around right now is the Zacian, Hop Zacian, which we are going to see in Journey Together. That one will be in Journey Together, which it's not seeing as much play or as much success, it's not as important. But make no mistake about it, this is still a good card that is out there seeing a bunch of play, doing a bunch of damage. The first attack does 30 to your active Pokemon and 30 to one of your bench, so having Shaymin down will stop that bench damage, and that is lovely. There's actually a lot of decks around at the moment that just hit the active. Things like Golden Go, things like Raging Bolt, things like Charizard. These are big decks around right now that really are just playing the I'm going to hit the active game. That's absolutely what they're going for. And that's fine, but I'm just saying this is not going to help against them. The thing to remember with an ability like this is it's not necessarily at the same time where this becomes big. Like, to use a fairly blunt example, we got Manaphy in Brilliant Stars, and one of the very, 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 very best uses for Manaphy came in the next set, Astral Radiance, with Radiant Greninja, which could do 90 to the active and 90 to a bench Pokemon. Or indeed 90 to 2 bench Pokemon. You could do that 90-22, active or bench. The point was that when we saw Manaphy, we didn't know how great it was going to be at slowing down and stopping Greninja. And then Greninja came out and we all just kind of sighed and went, good job we've got Manaphy. And it's absolutely possible, even probable, that the best uses that we're going to see for Shaymin right now just aren't even out there yet. We will find out later what they are, and we're then going to feel very happy we've got Shaymin. But then we need to kind of double back around to this whole 80 HP malarkey, because it's sneaky super annoying. And like, there's plenty of cards we're going to be playing that will search it out. Nest Ball is still going to see a bunch of play. Ultra Ball is still going to see a bunch of play. These will search it, but we really want to be getting multiple basics out on turn 1. The reason we love getting this with Buddy Buddy Poffin, or we would if we could, is because on the first turn you need to really get all your basics out, and this can just be one of the 2 Pokemon you get with Buddy Buddy Poffin. A lot of the time, if you've got one Nest Ball, you really need it to get the Pokemon you're actually going to be attacking with. And a lot of the time, you're going to go, well, I can only get one Pokemon. I can't afford it to be Shaymin. That's a bit of a problem. Obviously, any decks that are playing Precious Trolley this is going to be an automatic one in so many of them, because Precious Trolley just goes and gets all your basics. So the idea that you can just get all your basics and this is just one of them, yeah, absolutely. Like, if you're playing Precious Trolley, this is a no-brainer if there's any matchups you're worried about that hit the bench. But for other decks, it is going to be a bit of an issue. The thing is, even though it doesn't protect your rule box Pokemon, it kind of does protect your rule box Pokemon. Take Charizard, take Gardevoir, take Dragapult, yeah? And there's a whole bunch of others. These are Pokemon that have a rule box that are going to get a lot of protection from this. Because sure, Shaymin stops your opponent hitting them on the bench when you evolve up into them. But a lot of the time, what you really need for these big decks like Charizard and Dragapult is time to get those Pokemon out. And until you've got the big Stage 2 EX, Shaymin absolutely will protect your pre-evolutions. Obviously, for stuff like Raging Bolt, it's always a rule book that you're not going to be able to win there, sorry. But there's going to be so many evolving decks where this gives you the time you need to evolve up. If we ever get something like Radiant Greninja again, you know, the idea that your opponent can go and KO 2 evolving basics before you've even had a chance to get rolling is horrendous. Shaymin stops that a lot of the time. The 80 HP is a big deal. This is, let's be perfectly clear, this is just an objectively worse version of Manaphy. Can't be searched with Buddy Buddy Poffin, doesn't protect as much. This is worse Manaphy. The thing is, it's the best we've got. Obviously, in a format where Manaphy, nobody's playing Shaymin. Maybe the odd Precious Trolley deck who want the extra HP, but probably not even them. Nobody's playing this over Manaphy. But we don't have Manaphy. So this then becomes the best option that we've got, and I assure you, there's going to be plenty of decks that are absolutely willing to play it. It is a 5 WOSSy card. I feel very confident this is a 5 WOSSy card. And it's weird to me that I'd basically sit here for 10 minutes telling you how it's a bad version of a better card, and then just casually go and give it 5 WOSSys. But you know what? That's where we are. I expect this card to see a huge amount of play because bench barrier is phenomenal. And we don't have a better option here. Although it's actually called Flower Curtain. And delighted to say, ability names I'm not so good as translating the effects. But this one, Hannah is flower, and then it literally says curtain in katakana. So yay! Go team! Right, there we go. This is what you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. So now it's over to you guys. Do you think this is as good as I think it is? How much play do you think it's going to see? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Dojo, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.